I'm playing cribbage. We've already thrown into the crib, and now it's time for me to play my first card. I'll lead with, a 5. Yeah, that probably wasn't my smartest move. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is a follow-up to my video, How to Play Cribbage, where I went over all the basic rules. That one was about what you can do. This one's about what you should do. It's all about strategy for beginners. We'll talk about why leading with that 5 was a terrible idea and show you a clever little trap you can set for your opponent. And I brought in some backup. I reached out to a fellow YouTuber who really knows cribbage, Zach from Huddle Around Games. I really enjoy Zach's channel. So the first thing I asked him was, how long have you been playing?
Thank you so much. I really enjoy your channel too. The animation is fantastic. And your explanations are so clear for all these games. It's so cool. I've been playing cribbage for just about as long as I can remember, but I probably started around 6 years old. My grandpa taught me how to play when we'd go and stay up at his cabin up north in Sheboygan, Michigan.
Classic. I bet a bunch of you watching have a story just like that. All right, let's jump right in. We're going to go through all the phases of the game. The first choice you make every hand is what to toss into the crib. And whether you're the dealer or the pone really changes how you play it. So I asked Zach to break that down.
In its simplest explanation, pone versus dealer is subtraction versus addition. As the dealer, you want to add the cards that you have and the points that you're going to throw into your crib. So you want to add those together and find the one with the biggest potential. As the non-dealer, you do the opposite. You take the cards you're throwing into the opponent's crib and you subtract them from your total. And so what you're trying to do is get the most possible points, or keep the cards with the best potential, and then you add or subtract the crib based on what you're playing at the time.
That's a great way to frame it. As the dealer, you're trying to stack your crib with points. As the pone, you're just trying not to give away anything useful. So I asked Zach for more specific tips on how to pull that off.
Number one, like I said, just keep the most points for yourself. Add the crib potential if it's your crib as dealer, and subtract if you're the pone. Number two, all else being equal, keep cards with the better potential to improve a good cut. Examples include, cards that are near each other so that a cut card could add a run or something like that. Or cards that add up to 5, we get a cut 10 card, the 10, Jack, Queen, King. If you keep a 5 in your hand, or 5 in your own crib, keep those cards together, you have a better chance of getting 2 points there.
Real quick, just for our newer players. When Zach says a good cut, he means the start card you flip over after discards. If that card boosts your hand, that's what we call a good cut. So yeah, sometimes it's worth holding on to cards that might pay off if the cut goes your way.
And by the way, did you know that if you throw a 5, a 2-3, or an ace-4 into the crib, it's basically an automatic 2 points minimum because it will always work out. It is impossible to throw those into a crib and not get 2 points. So if you throw a 5, 2-3, or ace-4 to the crib, count on that as 2 points. A lot of people don't know that.
Zach and I talked more about that idea of guaranteed 2 points, and I want to unpack that just a bit. Those 2 points can come from all kinds of combos, a 15, a pair, a run, whatever. The point is, when you toss in the cards he mentioned, you're definitely going to get something. I think that's a pretty cool thing to know. After that, I asked Zach to walk us through a real example.
In this example, it's my crib. Now here I could keep either the 6, 6, 7, 9 for 6 points, or I could keep the 3, 6, 6, 9 for 8 points. But by keeping the 6, 6, 7, 9, I keep a good run potential with a 5 or an 8 cut. And by tossing the 2, 3, remember that rule I just said, I keep a run potential with the ace or a 4, and I get 2 points if any face card is cut. And because I know that 2, 3 is going to be 2 points guaranteed, it's really like 6 plus 2 for 8. And a 2, 3 has way more potential than a 2, 7 toss. Much better if you ask me.
That was a great example. It really pulls together everything we've talked about. Let's do a quick recap, especially for anyone who's newer and still getting the hang of things. This is Zach's example. I'm showing it with my own cards, but it's the same hand. He's keeping the 6, 6, 7, 9. which at first glance may seem like it scores a little less than his other option. But it gives him much better run potential, and he's not really giving anything up, because by tossing the 2 and 3 into the crib, he guarantees at least 2 points will come back to him. So what's the takeaway? What's the big picture here? Lock in a good hand, of course, but also think about how to give yourself the best odds for luck to go your way, especially from the cut. All right, moving on. Next, I asked Zach about pegging, probably the trickiest part of cribbage for beginners. Here's what he recommends.
Pegging is probably the most complex part of the game, and it's the one that takes the longest to get a handle on. But once you do, you'll win a lot more games, though it's still the hands and the cribs that'll make up the bulk of your points. It's those little differences that come in pegging that are going to help you. So for pegging, there are several general rules that you should learn before you get better and start breaking the rules when the time comes. So follow these main rules that you need to know, that you must know when starting out, and here they are. The first big rule is to lead from a pair. If you lead from a pair, there's a chance that if they have the other, that same value, so if I led a 2 here and they had a 2, I could come back and get 3 of a kind for 6 points. It's a really good trap. So we see in this example, I played a 2, they played a 2, and now I can follow up with another 2 for 6 points, 3 of a kind. Makes me really happy. Yeah, like that. By the same token, on the flip side, it's a pretty good general rule that unless you're desperate for points, don't pair on someone's first card, because that is most likely to be a pair. You also want to avoid making the count 21, because the 10 cards are the most common cards out there, the 10s, jacks, queens, and kings. If you make the count 21, they will have a good chance of getting that 31 for 2. Another good rule is to never lead a 5. Of course, this rule can be broken, but think about it. The 10 and face cards make up 31% of the deck, and in the other 3 5s, if you lead a 5, there's a 37% chance you'll be giving up points. And finally, my other big general rule is that if you have to play defensively or you don't know what to lead, the 4 is the best, then 3, and then 2. Those are generally the best single card leads if you don't have a pair and you're not leading a 5.
All right, let's move on to counting your hand. How can new players make sure they aren't missing anything? Not leaving points on the table.
The biggest problems just come from losing track of where you are in counting your hands. If you stick with a system, it will be much easier, and you'll be way more consistent. The order that I use is this: 15s, then you count your pairs, or 3 or 4 of a kind, then count all of your runs, then count your flushes, and then check for the knobs, the jack rule. If you have a jack that matches the suit of the cut card, then you get 1 point. Of course, making sure you know all the rules and how all the scoring works is the most important, but the biggest problem is just people getting lost. So start in order and stick with a system, and your success will be much higher.
Before we wrapped up, I wanted to make sure I asked Zach if he had any final advice for players just getting started. Here's what he said.
Cribbage is a super fun game, but it relies pretty heavily on luck. So don't get discouraged if you start losing or you go through bad streaks. That just happens sometimes. Don't get discouraged, you will get better. Play a lot on some of the many great apps around. My favorite is Cribbage Pro, and you can find me on there too at ZolwarnX and play with me there. It has some awesome tools for learning counting and discarding. You can set up scenarios to play. But there are a lot of other great programs on there, so make sure you play there. And if you really like cribbage, you can join the American Cribbage Congress at cribbage.org. And there are a lot of great people on there that will get involved. Check out the cribbage subreddit and stuff like that. It's really great.
If you want to learn more about cribbage strategy, go check out Zach's channel. It's called Huddle Around Games, and I'm glad to help more people find his channel. Thanks again for hanging out with us, Zach. See you around.
Thanks for having me. Love your stuff. Bye.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this format, let us know in the comments. It really helps for me to know. And stick around, because next time I just might bring you your new favorite game.